This flag, which is encased in the shadow box I was given at my retirement, that stood in my Pentagon office, I should say, it's an important flag to me too. That flag was in my office when 9/11 occurred. 10 months after I became Judge Advocate General, they started the renovation of the Pentagon. We were in the first wedge to be renovated. So all of my operating divisions were moved out to rental property in Northern Virginia. But I was required to stay in the Pentagon. So I was moved to another office in the interior of the Pentagon. About, I guess it was about a month or a little less before I was to retire, the Pentagon renovation manager came down and said, okay, your suite on the E-ring is ready to be reoccupied. So I said, well, what about the operating divisions? I said, no, well, what we decided to do is leave them in Northern Virginia. I'm getting ready to retire. If my operating division's not going to be up there, I think I'll just stay here. 9/11 happens. That plane went right through my office, where I would have been had I moved back up there. But I wasn't there. Neither was anybody else of my office. And one of my very good friends, the Director of Army Personnel, Lieutenant General Tim Maud, who had always had the suite right next to me, had made a different decision and moved on back up there with his staff, and he and his staff were all killed immediately. But there were fewer casualties than there would have been had that plane hit anywhere else in the Pentagon, because first of all, it was the newly renovated wedge, so it had been fireproofed, which the old Pentagon was not. So the fire was contained in that wedge, and it wasn't fully repopulated. And it's just one of those angel on my shoulder stories that, you know, the little angel was sitting there when that renovation manager came by and said, we can move you back to your suite today. This flag, in addition to being the flag that was my flag as Judge Advocate General, has a special meaning to me because I did lose some very good friends during that time, and that time, of course, is a reminder, I hope, to all of us, that we never forget of the continuing threat that a lot of people have toward the United States because they don't like us. There is no other place like America, and that's what that flag represents. This is the best, greatest country in the world.